Aliens unleashed their perfect assassin. A human asked if he could keep it as a pet. The Zephyrian High Council had spent 3 centuries perfecting it. The creature before them was the culmination of their greatest scientific minds, their most advanced bioengineering, and their deepest understanding of death itself. Standing 12 feet tall with obsidian scales that seemed to absorb light, razor-sharp claws that could slice through reinforced titanium, and eyes that glowed with predatory intelligence, the Vorthak was their ultimate weapon. "Behold," announced Supreme Chancellor Vextar, his forearms spread wide in presentation. "The perfect assassin, no species in the galaxy can stand against it. The humans will fall within days." The assembled council members clicked their approval, their mandibles chattering with excitement. The human colony of New Brisbane had been a thorn in their side for months, refusing to surrender their mineral-rich world despite overwhelming odds. But now with the Vorthak, their resistance would end. The creature itself remained motionless, its biomechanical implants humming softly as they interfaced with its predatory instincts. Every aspect of its being had been designed for one purpose: to hunt and kill with maximum efficiency. 3 days later, Captain Marcus "Tank" Rodriguez was enjoying his morning coffee on the observation deck of the human outpost when the alarms started blaring. The short, stocky man with graying temples didn't even flinch as red lights bathed the corridor in an ominous glow. "Sir," Lieutenant Hayes burst through the doors, his face pale with panic. "Something just tore through our outer perimeter. Security cameras caught glimpses of it before it destroyed them. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." Tank took another sip of his coffee. "How unlike?" 12 feet tall, armored moves. Like lightning, and it just carved through a 3-inch steel barrier like it was paper. Huh. Tank scratched his beard thoughtfully. "Sounds like the Zephyrians finally sent us their fancy monster." Within hours, the creature had systematically eliminated 2 patrol squads and was moving steadily toward the main compound. The colonists huddled in the central bunker while Tank and his security team tracked its progress through the remaining sensors. "Why isn't it just charging in?" Hayes whispered as they watched the Vorthak methodically disable their defenses. "It could break through our walls easily." "Because it's smart," Tank replied, studying the creature's movement patterns. "Look at how it's learning our layout, testing our responses. This thing isn't just a brute force weapon. It's a tactician." The Vorthak had indeed been observing. Its enhanced neural cortex was cataloging every human response, every weakness in their defenses. Soon, it would strike with surgical precision and end this hunt. But as it approached the main building, something unexpected happened. Instead of cowering humans or desperate last stands, it encountered a single man sitting on the front steps drinking coffee. Tank looked up as the massive creature emerged from the shadows. "Well, hello there, beautiful." The Vorthak paused, its combat algorithm struggling to process this response. In 3 centuries of simulation and testing, no target had ever greeted it with what appeared to be admiration. "Look at you, Tanky," continued, standing slowly and keeping his hands visible. "Absolutely magnificent. The engineering alone must have taken decades." He circled the creature at a respectful distance, like an art enthusiast examining a masterpiece. "Those scales are incredible. Is that some kind of adaptive camouflage system? And the musculature? Perfect balance between speed and power." The Vorthak's head tilted slightly, a gesture that would have seemed almost curious if not for the rows of deadly teeth it revealed. "You know," Tank said, sitting back down on the steps, "I've been on 17 different worlds and I've never seen anything quite like you. The Zephyrians really outdid themselves this time." For several minutes, they simply regarded each other. The creature's killing protocols insisted it should strike, but something about this human's behavior was novel. In all its programming, no scenario had covered a target that seemed genuinely fascinated rather than terrified. Tank pulled out his tablet and began showing the creature pictures. "See, I used to have a dog back on Earth, Rottweiler named Duchess. Sweetest thing you ever saw, but everyone was terrified of her because she was big and looked scary." He swiped to another photo. "And then there was Sergeant My Cat. Found him in a bombed-out building on Kepler 442. He'd hiss at everyone else, but he'd purr like an engine when I scratched behind his ears. The Vorthak found itself leaning closer to see the images, its aggressive posture unconsciously relaxing. The thing is, Tank continued conversationally, people always assume that just because something is designed to be dangerous, that's all it can be. But you're clearly intelligent. You've been learning, adapting, thinking. That's not just a weapon, that's a person. The creature's eyes narrowed, but not in anger. For the first time in its existence, something was treating it as more than just an instrument of death. I bet you're lonely, Tank said softly. All that intelligence, all that capability, and the only thing anyone ever asks you to do is kill. That's got to be frustrating. The Vorthak made a sound, not quite a growl, not quite a whine. Its massive head lowered slightly. Tank stood up slowly. What do you say we make a deal? You don't kill my people, and I'll teach you about companionship. Ever played fetch? 2 hours later, Lieutenant Hayes found his captain in the compound's main courtyard, throwing a reinforced steel beam while a 12-foot alien killing machine bounded after it with what could only be described as enthusiasm. Sir, Hayes said weakly, what exactly are you doing? Training, Tank replied, catching the beam as the Vorthak brought it back. Good boy. Who's a good boy? The creature's tail, a weaponized appendage capable of crushing bones, wagged. But, sir, it's an assassin. Tank scratched behind one of the Vorthak's auditory sensors, eliciting a rumbling purr that shook the ground. So was Duchess, technically. Doesn't mean they can't learn new tricks. The Zephyrian High Council's emergency session was not going well. It's been 3 days. Supreme Chancellor Vextar's voice crackled with rage. The Vorthak should have completed its mission and returned. Our long-range sensors show it's still at the human outpost, reported Intelligence Chief Kraltos. But it hasn't killed anyone. In fact, it appears to be playing. The humans have constructed some kind of obstacle course. The Vorthak runs through it repeatedly while they time its performance and offer encouragement. Vexitar's 4 hands clenched into fists. Impossible. The Vorthak is a perfect killer. It cannot be corrupted. Sir, Kraltos continued hesitantly, we've also detected that the humans have been teaching it various games and activities. Yesterday they appeared to be having a tea party. A tea party. The Vorthak was wearing what appears to be a small hat. Captain Rodriguez looked up from where he was brushing the Vorthak's scales as another ship appeared in the sky. Looks like your old family wants you back, buddy. The creature, who now answered to Vorty, pressed closer to Tank and made a low, protective rumble. Don't worry, Tank said, giving the massive head a reassuring pat. You don't have to go anywhere you don't want to go. That's what freedom means. When the Zephyrian retrieval team landed, they found their perfect assassin sitting calmly beside a human, wearing a collar that read, Emotional Support Apex Predator, and looking utterly content. The team leader approached cautiously. Vorthak unit, you will return for debriefing immediately. Vorty tilted his head and then, very deliberately, rolled over to show his belly to Tank, the ultimate display of trust and submission. Tank grinned and obliged with belly rubs while the retrieval team watched in stunned silence. You know, Tank said to the Zephyrian soldiers, if you ever want to make more of these guys, I'd be happy to adopt them too. Always room for another good boy in the family. The Zephyrians retreated without their perfect weapon, leaving behind only the sound of contented purring and the sight of the galaxy's most feared assassin chasing his own tail in pure joy. Humans, the Zephyrian High Council would later note in their official report, were clearly far more dangerous than any weapon they could devise. After all, they had somehow weaponized friendship itself.